The way I see it is actually more about bioharmonizing, especially in the context of women's health.
Hello and welcome to the Mama Culture. This is a place for you to be supported, inspired, and resourced on your unique journey through motherhood. I'm your host, Corey Zorns, a fellow mama, here to bring you information and wisdom on parenting, wellness, personal growth, and everything in between so you can thrive as a modern mama. So grab your favorite warm drink, settle in, and get ready for relatable, honest, and empowering conversations about the most important job in the world. This is the Mama Culture.
Hello, my loves. I am so excited. Today, we are diving into biohacking, which is one of my favorite topics. And on top of that, I have one of my favorite people in the world sitting next to me right now. We are in my bedroom. We set up our own little podcasting studio recording. We are going to try to get in a 30-minute podcast with literally everything you need to know about biohacking. And we got to get it in because my partner is downstairs with the baby. And I think about 30 minutes ago, I told him we'd be done in 30 minutes. So we are going to get it in here for you. And it's going to be so good and so juicy. So not only is Bindi one of my favorite people here in Bali, she is an amazing friend of mine. One of those people that will do anything and everything for you and is just so special in my life. She is also a board certified integrative health practitioner specializing in women's health. And she's the host of the Vibrant You podcast, which I highly recommend you listen to. Anytime I have health questions or detox questions or cycle questions, she is the one friend that I will always go to because she is a wealth of information. So I'm so excited to dive in today. And we're just going to get started. We're going to start with, what is biohacking? Bindi, what is biohacking? What is the definition of it?
Such an important question. Okay, so when it comes to biohacking, the way I see it, is actually more about bioharmonizing, especially in the context of women's health. So bioharmonizing is a method of biohacking where we're really supporting the body's natural intelligence. So as beings of nature, our body's so intelligent and it knows how to heal itself. It knows how to optimize itself. So biohacking or bioharmonizing is really giving the body and the mind exactly what it needs to do its functions really optimally.
I have never heard of bioharmonizing until now. And I really love it because one thing that we were talking about, Bindi, is that biohacking is so dominant for men. Like the research, just everything there, it's really a men's world of biohacking. And so when you say bioharmonizing, I'm like, there's just so much there for women and for mamas and for people that are pregnant. So on the note of biohacking, we're going to get into this, but me and Bindi are in a women's circle, a weekly women's circle. That's so amazing. And all of us in the circle have Oura rings. And Oura rings are these rings that track our sleep. And we're obsessed. If you want to get into biohacking, get yourself an Oura ring. But one of the mamas in our circle is pregnant, Megan Lambert. She is episode 1 of the podcast. And she's so frustrated because her ring will not pick up that she is pregnant. And so every morning it's like, you need to go look at your health, like get horrible health scores. And that is just what the field of biohacking is. Like there's not things that are geared towards us getting pregnant, being mamas, our cycle. So I love bioharmonizing because it feels really resonant for the female body.
So true. And there's one more thing in that is, like you said, like Megan's Oura ring is basically saying that she's dying on the ring. But it's so true. Like up until the 90s, there was so minimal research done on women's bodies. So much of like the biohacking advice that we see out there nowadays on like doing crazy extreme keto diets and crazy intermittent fasting wreaks havoc on a woman's hormones. So we really do need a really different approach to health optimization for women because it's so radically different than what we need for men.
So that was one of my questions. Like, what is the difference between men's biohacking and women's biohacking? And what is it that us women need to know? What is it that us mamas need to know when we start our adventure of biohacking or bioharmonizing?
Yeah. So the cool thing is that a lot of the biohacks are the same, but the context in which we might use those biohacks or bioharmonizers may be a little bit different. So a lot of really common ones out there that we see that are really great research done on men's bodies. And when we hear about the ketogenic diet and extreme intermittent fasting and cold plunging for 20 minutes, and there's maybe a way that we can use those tools in a way that really helps us unlock our hormonal advantage, unlock deeper hormonal harmony for us. So some of the main differences is really for men's bodies, they can do these practices every single day because their hormonal cycle runs on the circadian rhythm. Every 24 hours, a man's hormones reset themselves. He's the same guy every single day. But women, we have the circadian rhythm. So there's certain biohacks that are really effective that support our circadian rhythm, which we'll get into for sleep optimization and a few things there. But we really can work with this other hormonal cycle that we have called the infradian rhythm, which is a 28-day cycle that we as women go through with our menstrual cycle. So really, bioharmonizing is a way for women to support their hormonal wellness and adapt these biohacks and self-care tools to optimize their hormonal health and therefore their overall health.
I love that. Like, women are of a different nature than men. We were also on a relationship retreat together, Bindi and I, with our partners. And we talked about this, like about women and their cycle. And, every day you wake up as a woman and you're a different person. Every day we're changing 20 days of our cycle. And like a man is same day after day, just throughout the 24 hours he's changing. But like the same man every day, where us as women, we're really changing every single day. And then our bodies are changing so much as we become pregnant or as we become mothers. And yeah, like one of a biohack that I love is cold plunging. I did cold plunge a lot when I was pregnant. It's a big practice of mine. But something I learned the other day is it's not good to cold plunge 6 months postpartum because you should be keeping your womb warm. And so there's information that women can really learn and understand about bioharmonizing. Okay, so we're going to get into our 5 favorite areas of biohacking. Ben and I were sitting here trying to figure out okay, what are our favorite? And there's just so many different biohacks that we love to do and that we incorporate in our life every single day. But we really noticed that there's 5 areas that are super important to us. So, Bindi, what is the first area of biohacking that, key for women?
Okay, so number 1 is we can't talk about female biohacking without talking about the menstrual cycle. So the first biohack is really about menstrual cycle syncing, which is really a form of lifestyle medicine of how we live our lives as women. And so through the 4 different phases of our menstrual cycle, from our menstrual phase through to follicular, through ovulation, and then our luteal phase or premenstrual phase, we can adapt so much to optimize our health and well-being. We won't get into all of it today. It could be a whole other podcast episode. But everything from adapting our nutrition, right? Our nutritional needs change throughout the month, and the key nutrients that we need and key macronutrients that we need in luteal phase before our period is so different than what we need during follicular phase or ovulation. So menstrual cycle syncing is a way of life where we adjust everything from our nutrition to our exercise, to our self-care practices, to the supplements that we take throughout those different phases of our cycle to unlock hormonal harmony.
To the work that you're doing, to the energy, the way you're having sex could be synced with your cycle. There's just so much there. If you are not tracking your cycle, I highly recommend getting an app and tracking your cycle and starting to be super clear about how you're feeling in each phase, because every phase, there's so many different tricks and tips to help you feel better in that phase. And when you go with your cycle instead of against it, if your period's coming and you're just 10 days pre-period and you're just still trying to go and grind and hustle and be out there and meeting new people, it might not feel good. So the more that you try to flow with your cycle and to go with it instead of against it, it just literally can be life-changing. So now for me, I incorporate my workouts, the way that I work, when I see my friends, just all these things into where I'm at in my cycle and how I'm going to be feeling that. And it's made my life smoother. And it's not always possible. Sometimes a meeting comes up or an event comes up, not at the right time. But if you start to sync your life with your cycle, it is just a lot more peaceful. Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. Okay. So the next one, what is the second area of biohacking that you love?
Okay, we have to optimize our sleep. So this is such a big one. Our sleep and our nervous system is so essential for our overall health as women, our hormonal production, our neurotransmitter function, and A sleep-deprived nervous system is primed for anxiety, irritability, low mood, digestive issues, hormone issues. So sleep optimization is key. We'll share a few key things that we personally do, that Corey and I do for really bioharmonizing our sleep. A couple that I do is every single night wearing a sleep mask. So really having full blackout. You can either get blackout curtains or just get an epic little sleep mask to really block out the light. And that's going to help stimulate that melatonin production. And melatonin and cortisol, our stress hormone, work in opposites with one another. So if we're not getting enough melatonin, we're not actually able to drive down our body's stress hormones and our cortisol levels. So sleeping with an eye mask, right? Helping just withdraw our senses by popping in some earplugs when you sleep. This one's a little bit funnier. I don't know if you do this one, Corey, but I mouth tape. It's so good where you basically mouth tape your mouth closed to optimize your breathing passages and the oxygenation happening in the body overnight. So yeah, and making sure that we're living in alignment with nature. So sleeping at a time that nature intended us to sleep, right? Going to bed between 9 and maybe 10:30 at night and waking up in those earlier morning hours so that we can wake up the next day and get some nice early morning sunlight. This is so key for really hacking or harmonizing our circadian rhythm, which is so essential for sleep.
And to all you mamas out there who are up all night with babes and feeding and kids and all the things, I just want to say I so feel you. I so get you. I'm now on 20 months of that. And so it's not always easy, this lack of sleep. It does have a big impact, but incorporating these little biohacks have been so helpful for me. So yes, I for sure do the eye mask every night. After the breastfeeding, it's somewhere in my pillows when I wake up. And the mouth tape, it's a really funny one when you see your partner in mouth tape. It's you cannot help but crack up, and they can't really laugh or do much because their mouth is taped closed. But it is a really good biohack because then you make sure you're breathing through your nose throughout the night instead of your mouth. And Bindi and I both wear the Oura Ring that tracks everything from how much sleep, how much deep sleep, how much REM sleep, your resting heart rate, your HRV. And I've actually seen changes in my sleep from wearing mouth tape. So it's a silly one. Your kids will probably think you look silly too, but it does work. Lately, I have stopped eating at 7 p.m. I am a night snacker. I put my little one to bed at 8 p.m., 8:30, and then it's 10, and I'm I should really get to sleep. I like to take up that nighttime by myself. But at 10 p.m. when I'm really tired, or 9:30 and I'm really tired, I'm I should eat. When you don't know the difference between being tired and wanting food. And then when you eat a lot of food or sugar before bed, it just really interrupts your sleep cycles. So I started doing a 7 p.m. cutoff time, and it helps me sleep so much better. And then I just eat right when I wake up in the morning. But I've also noticed a direct correlation to me getting deep sleep helps my baby sleep way better. So if you are co-sleeping, if you do have children in the bed with you, your sleep will totally impact your children's sleep. So if you are doing these things like shutting your phone off, calming your mind, meditating, not eating sugar before bed, your family will feel it as well. Yeah. Okay. And the next one, Bindi, what is number 3?
Number 3 biohack is supplements. So supplements or nutritional supplements can be so supportive for really optimizing our health as women. And to biohack like a woman means to adjust our supplements, our sleep care, our self-care, all these things to the different phases of our cycle. So something that I really love to do is the first half of my cycle, meaning from day 1 of my bleed until ovulation. So say the first 14 days, I'm focusing more on supplements that really build up the tissues. So lots of antioxidants, right? Using nootropics or brain boosting supplements like L-carnitine and tryptophan and some of these main antioxidants that really build up the mitochondria, build up our brain, can be so supportive because we just had our bleed, right? So our body's a little bit more depleted. And for us to experience a healthy ovulation, which of course, if you're in the moment of being ready to conceive is important, but also we need healthy ovulation for the health benefits of ovulation. A healthy ovulation isn't just for having a healthy baby, it's also for our immune system, for our hormonal health. If we're not ovulating or not having a healthy ovulation, the second half of our cycle, that luteal phase, we feel more depleted because our ovulation is really what produces so much of the estrogen and the progesterone that's needed to stay really balanced and well in that second half of the cycle. So first half of the cycle, rejuvenating, building supplements. So having a really high quality functional medicine, therapeutic grade multivitamin that just ensures your basics for all of your nutrition and all of those building supplements, right? The first phase. Then in the second half of the cycle, having more detox supportive supplements. So a lot of the hormonal discomforts and PMS and things, breast tenderness, moodiness that we experience in that second half of our cycle, that premenstrual phase, is really a buildup of hormones, right? So when we have too much estrogen or a deficiency of progesterone, those are the most 90% of the labs that I look at, that's the hormonal imbalance. Too much estrogen, not enough progesterone. And so having detox supportive supplements to help your liver really break down that excess estrogen floating around in your system is really helpful. So the second half of my cycle, okay, women, ladies, best biohack for your menstrual cycle. And
can't wait. I'm like, I want to know this one. I can't wait to hear. You didn't tell me this yet.
This one's so good, is including supplements in that second half of your cycle to really break down those estrogens. So things like DIM, right? DIM. Things like cruciferous vegetables, things like sulfur-containing supplements, 3-indole-carbinol. There's specific supplements that we can take, and maybe I'll share with Corey. She can link up in the show notes some key supplements that will really help prevent PMS and keep our mood, our energy, our focus really stable during that second half of the cycle is so, so key.
Yeah, I'm going to break this down for you guys in the show notes and the blog post, and I will have Bindi's help in recapping these 5 points and what it is that you guys can add in, incorporate, or take. And then on top of supplements, like incorporating, the right foods for different parts of your cycle, the right superfoods, the right herbs, incorporating, like I love putting in maca and ashwagandha. And so there's so many different things to get creative in this. So we will put that up in a guide for you.
Adaptogens. That's the other one we didn't say. All the adaptogens.
Mushrooms. I love some mushrooms.
So important.
Bindi, I listened to you talking. I'm like, wow, you have so much knowledge. I'm more like, get out my blender and put like everything in it all the time. I'm like, here's some mushrooms and some maca and ashwagandha and some protein, and just add a little bit of this green stuff in. I kind of just like to throw everything at it. But I love this breaking down of the first half of the cycle, like really building yourself up, and then the second half of your cycle really detoxing, especially the extra estrogen. That makes so much sense. So yes, I love that. Okay. I feel like we're doing good on time. I feel like we're crushing this.
Love it.
You know? The boiler downstairs, there's some screaming, but we're doing okay. Okay, so number 4. Number 4 biohack is a detox. Tell us about detoxing, because you're in a detox right now.
Ooh, yes. Corey and I had a very vivid conversation before this.
Can you please tell them what you're doing? Please.
Okay, I'm doing an epic parasite cleanse. So Corey and I, we live in the tropics. We live in Bali, and we're exposed to a lot of different little pathogens around here. A lot of creepy crawlers. So my personal life philosophy and health philosophy is I do a parasite cleanse at least once a year. So I'm currently in a parasite detox, and I was sharing with Corey some of the things that I'm doing to purify and to purge that, which has been so fun. It's not for everyone, but all the supplements and some garlic up the bum.
You just put a clove of garlic. She's putting a clove of garlic up her bum for 1 month, every day for 1 month. And I was like, wow, genius. Love that.
Committed.
Yep. And there's a whole reason. It's just not,
another podcast episode.
Yes, we will have a whole episode on detoxing. Last time I thought I had worms. First of all, it's so common, so easy to get. And then we live here in Bali. Like, yes, we get worms. We're like rescuing stray cats and touching every stray dog on the street. And then, eating some nasi goreng. So last time I thought I had worms, I called it Bindi. I'm like, okay, Bindi, what is my cleanse protocol? So yeah, Bindi is just so knowledgeable in cleansing. But I agree. I think we should really be detoxing every single year, especially if we live abroad. But even if we don't, every year taking the time to detox our bodies, I think is so valuable.
Yeah, huge. Absolutely. And yeah, to detox it, like, why do we have to do it? Because some people, I hear a really good, solid argument of like, don't we have organs to do that? Like, don't we have a liver that's intended to detoxify the body? But the reality is that the toxic load that we're exposed to, especially as women, actually more than men, depending on if they work in a really toxic industry or something, but especially as women, we're exposed to up to like 100,000 different human-made chemicals every single day, from the brake dust that we breathe in to the cosmetics we put on our body. And I'm so aware that I'm sure that most of the community listening here is so eco-conscious, and you're so aware of like the products you put on your skin and using natural home care products to obviously to protect your little ones. And so that's so important. But even with all of these really intentional ways of living and the products we use and the things that we bring into our homes, we're still exposed. We still drive a car. We're still breathing in brake dust. There's still flame retardants in the car seats and our mattresses. And we do our best, but there's just toxic exposure. And why this is so important for women is, of course, first and foremost, our own health and well-being. Heavy metals, toxic load, BPAs, all these things have such an impact on our hormonal well-being, and all of these chemicals are such hormone disruptors. And our optimal human health as women really lies in our hormonal well-being. So having a functional medicine detox protocol that you do, I recommend quarterly, like minimum once a year, doing some sort of deep cleansing detox protocol just to bring that toxic load down. But ideally, at the change of every season, do 1 week, either 21 days once a year or do 1 week at the change of each season to bring that down. It's also important for all you like mamas out there and mamas to be, of course, because as women, the toxic load that we hold in our bodies, if we're not really cleansing and detoxing that before, babies act as natural chelators, meaning they will absorb so much of the toxic load from the mama's body into the placenta tissue and then gets passed on to the baby. And I don't say that to scare anyone, just to bring awareness. If you have the luxury of maybe you want to conceive within the next year or so, is to do a detox protocol to really create the happiest, healthiest pregnancy.
And then also for mamas, like it's not always a time to detox if you are breastfeeding. So just knowing where you're at in your journey as a woman, as a mama, in your cycle, in the seasons, and then knowing when is a good time to detox. And if you do want to do an in-depth detox, I highly recommend working with someone who is really knowledgeable and can help you through it. And a detox doesn't have to be like such a punch in the face. It doesn't have to be like starving yourself for 10 days and just drinking this green juice and then doing some enemas and putting ghee in your eyes. Like you can do gentle detoxes as well that work over time and with the right supplements and with the right types of food and are more gentle on your body. So there's so much we could get into on that, but I really encourage working with someone who is a genius like Bindi in detoxing and different protocols that you can do.
I have one more thing I can share on that real quick. Okay, so many fasts and cleanses and detoxes that we see out there. There's a lot of great research, but again, the research is on men's bodies. Women's bodies have been excluded from clinical trials. They've been excluded from a lot of this research, which partly is good ethics of not wanting to do these tests on women of reproductive age in case there's any side effects, but also really horrible because then there's no safety and no advice for women of reproductive age. So that's exactly what you mentioned, Corey. Cleansing and detoxing like a woman, biohacking like a woman doesn't mean doing big, extreme, million-year-long juice cleanses and doing water fast for extended period, because all of that, even low-carb diets, these types of things really mess up our hormones. It drives our cortisol through the roof, our stress hormones, and shuts down our body's natural sex hormones. So we do need to detoxify like a woman.
Gentle, working with nature. And I remember what I wanted to say now. If you aren't paying attention to the toxins in your household, around your family, in your own life, the makeup that you're putting on, perfume that you're using, things that you're using to clean your household, I would just do a really solid inventory of what is in your products. For my household, we only use natural cleaning products. And then I'm also cautious because we have a cat and certain essential oils aren't good for your cat. So it doesn't take that much effort. You just have to get started. And I feel like once you get started, it's really easy to maintain it. Like going through what kind of fragrances you want to use in yourself. There's so many great natural ones that have essential oils. What kind of makeup do you want to use? Like these little things throughout our day really add up and make such a big difference. And especially if we have families, like highly recommend cleaning products and any perfumes in your house, any candles in your house, like finding ones that are natural and not filled with toxins, because you just don't want to add any extra on. Like you said, Bindi, there's just already so much going through the air in our life. They did a test on placentas and the toxin load in placentas compared to, back in the day. And like the amount of new chemicals found in there are just so much. Another one that's really important to me and really important for mamas, if you are a pregnant mama, do not fill gas in your car. Do not fill your own gas. Someone needs to fill it for you because that gas goes into your body and it's so toxic for the baby and the placenta. So little things like that, especially for, women that want babies soon or that are carrying babies or that have little ones, It's like trying to lighten your toxin load and then also detoxing in a gentle way, depending at where you're at in your journey. Okay, our very last one. I feel like we're doing pretty good on time. We're doing good. Okay, this is our last one, and it's one of my favorites. I think it's our last one, Bindi. Number 5.
Self-care routines.
Yeah, morning routines and self-care. Why don't we both share our morning routine and a couple things that are great for women to add into their biohacking morning routine?
Ooh, love it. Okay. So mine, the ones that are consistent throughout all phases of my cycle is I wake up, I tongue scrape to get a lot of the bacteria and the gunk off of the tongue that kind of creeps up the digestive tract from overnight and clear out all that gunk. I splash my face with cold water. I brush my teeth with a really great holistic, functional, remineralizing and alkalizing toothpaste that is literally just made of a combination of different clays and baking soda and essential oils. Dry brushing is one of my favorite tools for women for lymphatic drainage. So if you've never heard of dry brushing, it's simply taking a very simple handheld dry bristle brush. There's a full technique to it, but the general rule is you can't go wrong if you're always sweeping along the skin towards the direction of the heart. So it's a dry bristle brush. You're not doing it when you're wet. You just strip down and then you're going to sweep from your extremities. So from your hands, you're going to gently sweep with very minimal pressure, just as though you're like grazing your hand along your arm towards the heart. Very, very gentle. You do that with your legs. You sweep from your feet all the way up to your hips. You can do figure eights around the breast tissue. You can do circles around the belly. But this is so excellent for draining the lymph, and especially in that second half of the cycle when we're more high estrogen and maybe we are feeling a little bit more puffy or feeling a little bit more water retention or breast tenderness. This can be really, really excellent for draining that lymph. After I do my little morning self-care ritual at home, I am off to Pilates. So I'll have like a quick little protein smoothie with blueberries and antioxidants and greens powder, as I don't like to do too much exercise on an empty stomach. Because again, another biohack for women is we're not meant to do such long periods of fasting. That messes up our hormones. So ideally, we want to be eating our breakfast within 1 hour of waking up to really optimize our hormonal well-being. Really only fasting for longer periods in follicular phase. That's the kind of general rule. So then I'm off to Pilates. I move my body. That feels really good. And I adapt again the amount or the intensity based on what phase of my menstrual cycle I'm in. I go lighter during premenstrual and menstruation phase. I go harder and stronger, harder classes during follicular and ovulation. That's my morning routine. What's yours?
I love that. We have a lot of similarities in our morning routine. First of all, if you do not tongue scrape, you need to tongue scrape. Once you start tongue scraping and see what comes off your tongue, you will never not tongue scrape again. I'm like, I tongue scrape. I got my partner in tongue scraping. Like, it's magical. If you want to go the next step, I love oil pulling. So good. Like, your mouth just feels so clean and so good. It pulls like bacteria and toxins out of your mouth. So that's the next step if you want to do that. But just tongue scraping is a must for all of you listening. It'll change your life if you don't do it. My mornings are short and quick because River wakes up. We sleep all night together. Daddy comes in to take River so I can have a moment. And the very first thing I try to do is just not look at my phone, not turn anything on, and just sit with myself. And that might be sitting in meditation for a minute. It might be 5 minutes. It might be like just taking a moment of gratitude or prayer for my morning, but it's like just sitting for a moment before my day starts because there's going to be a little one screaming mama already. Like, there's just so much going on. So it's just taking a moment. And then yes, tongue scraping. I probably dry brush a couple times a week and I'm obsessed. I love dry brushing. Like, if I am not feeling it or if I'm feeling tired or just like need a boost, I just dry brush and take a cold shower and it's like an espresso hit. It feels so nice. So love that. I also love coffee enemas. I am such a fan of a coffee enema. I haven't done one lately. I need to get back on that. So that's another really nice morning routine. I'll listen to like really beautiful yoga music. I love manifestation tracks that I listen to in the morning. So I'll just play those on repeat. That's another little biohack of mine. And every day is different, you know, with a little one. Of course, your mamas know, like, every day is a little different. But one thing I do try to incorporate every single day is movement. And I am also incorporating movement depending on where I'm at in my cycle. So just like you, Bindi, I'm going lighter in certain parts of my cycle and just going at it and boxing and getting sweaty in other parts of my cycle. And I noticed that movement makes me so much more clear. It actually helps lessen the effects of lack of sleep. Like, there are studies that say heavy working out, like really getting a sweat, getting your heart going, can reduce the impacts of loss of sleep. So working out has been my savior since not sleeping as much as a mother. So that is a really important one for me. And I think the last one is just like really being in a gratitude practice. Gratitude is so simple. You can do it at any day, at any point. Me and my partner do gratitude practices a lot where we'll both take turns and share different gratitudes for each other, for our life, for our family. And that just does so much. Like part of bioharmonizing, biohacking for me is to feel presence and to feel happiness and to feel joy. It's not just to feel like a good workout and strong and healthy. It's just like, I just want to feel happiness, I want to feel presence. And so all these biohacks and bioharmonizing, it can help with that, but also just being in gratitude, being in presence, being so grateful for our lives, for our families, for our friends. So yeah, one of the best biohacks you can do. Okay. Bindi, is there anything else you would like for them to know, where to find you? I will link all that too, but is there anything you want to share with them?
Just to start your journey into biohacking or bioharmonizing. I think the one tip to kind of take away is like when it comes to all these biohacking techniques is really do your research in the context of women. And I truly wish that there was more out there. I think it's coming. Ladies, it's coming. The movement, the era of women's health optimization and bioharmonizing, we're in that era now, but I truly just have this desire to fill that gap, fill that void for people. So do your research when it comes to all these biohacks. Listen to your body. Your body's so intelligent. Your body knows what it needs. It knows what it doesn't need. And if you're exploring like, oh, you heard that ketogenic diet is so great or doing this massive fast, if your body's saying no, then just listen to it. That's what I would say.
That is such good advice, especially if you're a mama. There is no research. Like after birth, I'm like, oh, I wonder what kind of biohacking things could be good for me. Can I cold plunge now? Can I do this kind of diet now? And there's just not research at this point in my journey. So yeah, just going off what Bindi said, there's so much that's intuitive. There's so much like, does this feel good to me right now? And then it can be a testing ground, like in safe ways, of course, especially where you're at in your journey, but like testing things, trying things out, trying different ways of eating, trying different times in the cold plunge and trying out dry brushing or a coffee enema and seeing what feels good for you. And again, the one thing I do want to remind you of is if you are pregnant or if you are mainly breastfeeding, like that is a place to not maybe test as much and to make sure things are safe at that time. But again, I find that there's so much intuitively downloaded in us that we know what works for our bodies. So yeah, I love that. Thank you so much, Bindi. Thank you so much for being here. I love having you. I love having you in my life. I love having your knowledge and your resources. I'm like, every time I talk to you, I'm like just learning new things and I'm just in awe of how much you know. So thank you for being here. I love our little bedroom podcast setup. I hope you guys enjoyed this and being here with us. Bindi and I are off tonight to go watch FabX, which are it's this event with storytellers coming on stage. I did it earlier this year, and it's people like, we take this course for months to like find our deep story and to work through our vulnerability and to find our mess and then to find the gifts in that and to share it on stage in front of everyone. And it's so vulnerable and it's so powerful. So we are off to go watch that and I'm so excited. And the boys did great downstairs. We are 30 minutes over our time that we gave them, but they're crushing it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. And I hope you truly enjoyed this. And I can't wait to hear about your biohacking journey. Message me and Bindi about it, and we will give you more resources and let us know what you want to hear next, because I feel like every single one of these resources can be its own full episode. So yeah, just let us know, and we will see you soon, loves.
All right, Mama, thank you for tuning in. I am sending you so much support and love on your journey through motherhood. Remember, you are not alone in this beautiful, wild, and sometimes challenging journey of motherhood. This is your village. Please subscribe, leave a 5-star review, and share this with anyone else that you think would benefit. Take care, Mama, and I will see you next week. Thank you for being part of the Mama culture.